you so much for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share whatever small things we have learned from our experience. So, when we are talking about digital transformation, we all have realized it's a journey. It's not going to be that today we think of transformation and tomorrow it's going to happen. So, I'll just give you a perspective of something which is beyond digital as well, because there are so many aspects which work around digital transformation that many of the organizations are able to achieve it. Many of the organizations who fail, and I've learned from the mistakes made from the failures in our own setup, in setups outside, and of course, the success of the organizations which have really succeeded very well. So, when we are talking of digital transformation, we do talk about technology, we do talk about digitization. And, first and foremost, we always think about is what is the strategy? What is it that they are trying to achieve, what we are trying to achieve, and what is the problem we are trying to solve? Many of the times, what happens here is we are trying to find a solution to a problem which never existed. And that's where we've seen, many of the technology fail. Second one, most important thing, what I've realized is, the organization structure in a setup where we do have technology officers, and many of the organizations have technology as well as the digital officer as a common resource. I mean, nothing right, nothing wrong, but my personal view is when technology and digital resources are separate, the results outcome are far more superior than expected. The third thing is all about the adaptation of technology. How how adaptable the organization is, the people of that organization are in terms of what is it they're trying to achieve and how agile they are in accepting the newer technology. Believe me, changing the behavior of a consumer is the biggest task the technology industry has faced. And I think those who have succeeded have been really successful in the industry. There are many more things, right from the capital allocation to the kind of vision, the roadmap, everything. So many things play at the same time, but few things which I mentioned about are very important for us. Second thing is, most of the technology providers and otherwise the industry think that digitization is only at the front end. How am I able to sell? It's not just about selling. Now, when we talk about insurance, widely talked about subject, and JI Council leadership also spoke about how the insurance for all by 2047 is going to be achieved. There are so many things in insurance which we are talking about, the front end sales. And we've seen several sales aggregators giving multiple sales quotes and all. But there is now an immense need for service aggregation. And which would mean that, we as brokers, for an example, are dealing with multiple insurance companies on the front side. But at the same time, for servicing, we are dealing with the same insurance companies at the back end also. And these things keep changing. So we need a standard technology which is going to be, facing on the sales side, similar thing on the service side for us to achieve our goals. And that is one of the key and important aspects of what we want to achieve on the insurance service aggregation as well. There are so many digital processes which are required for back end processing. And digital is not just about front end, it's also about the back end. How are we able to bring in the efficiency? How are we able to reduce the risk? How are we able to use the best use of data, in which our colleague just spoke about on the data? One thing I'm of a firm belief when it is coming to insurance, AI standalone may not work. There is something which you internally define as the addressed emotions of the consumer. So AI, AE, both are very important because when a consumer is buying, so and see, insurance has got highest data, but in spite of so much of data, there are still huge losses happening. There is something which is beyond data which is working here, and that is where the subjectivity and the emotions also of a decision maker comes in. So I will not take much long because I think I can talk for days together, if not hours. So on these aspects, but all these aspects are very important and crucial when we are actually making our digital roadmap. So I think, of course, I would request the other panelists also to give their important views.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Doc. That was indeed very eye-opening. And before I actually get into what I have to say, I must tell Reese that there is a doodad that's already been invented in India which uses AI to create various cuisines. So it reads a recipe and actually starts cooking for the person. So if you can lay your hands on one of them, please go for it. Okay. That being said, this topic, like Dr. Dadia said, actually is very all-encompassing. So coming from a more operations and implementation related sphere, I can tell you that digitization and innovation, especially from an insurance transformation perspective, started during COVID. And till then, people were used to the fact that they had access to offices, they had access to people. All that went away suddenly one day. And I think that one Black Swan event actually changed the face of the way insurers actually looked at technology and the manifestations of that across various aspects of their business. So, I can tell you, for example, that I was in another insurer at that point in time, but at Edelweiss Life, for example, complete customer application processing happened digitally 100%, within a matter of 48 to 72 hours. It was that fast. Okay, because people's behaviors, and I agree with Doc that changing behaviors is actually the biggest challenge of any manufacturer or service provider. And this wasn't necessarily true only of your distribution guys. It was also true of customers. Think about UPI. I mean, people at that point in time were still, dabbling with it. Suddenly today, as of yesterday, I believe there were 17 billion transactions in December alone. So that should tell you that that's like, about 10 times the population of India in terms of the velocity and volume of transactions happening. That being said, I think insurance, from being a technology laggard, if you look at any Gartner Golden Quadrant, you will always see that insurance was at the bottom because people prefer to use legacy for a long time. I think we've actually turned the corner in the last 5 years and started adopting technology to a very large extent. If that means moving away from your core systems, which are bulky and tedious, hollowing the core, creating wrappers, a lot of stuff has actually happened there. Now let's look at the customer for a second. Today's customer no longer wants to wait for days. And this is very, very clear. And, I give credit to the regulator as well, because they finally turned the screws on the manufacturers in terms of working a lot faster. So to that extent, I think with the, reduction in the kind of turnarounds, the manufacturers, the insurers today are operating on technology which is near real time. It is fairly personalized now, considering the kind of data that is available. And, Doc, I would tend to say that, what you mentioned was absolutely right. That I think insurers typically overlook the amount of data that they're sitting on. So one thing that we did, in the last 1.5 years was actually look at where our data was sitting and consolidated it in one place and ensure that we cleaned it. And so today, a lot of our, large data models are actually running on that data and giving us fantastic outcomes in near real time. At the same time, we are also able to cut down our errors in terms of customer profiling, risk profiling. So, we are bringing on much better profiles, and it's very visible in terms of the kind of ticket sizes that we are bringing on, the kind of sum assureds that we are increasing on. And at the same time, because these customers typically coming at higher ticket sizes are also educated. Okay, they also understand the digital medium, and that only helps us in terms of talking to them in the kind of contextual language that they wish to, be addressed with. Okay, at the same time, so therefore, the need for servicing, especially in life insurance, is fairly low unless typically there's a renewal or whatever. And today, thanks to the banking channels and, the aggregators, the need to even communicate that is very low. So, our typical stated motto is that as a low touch, low mindshare product, how do I make the consumer remember me 1 minute a month? That I'm a service provider and I'm there when he needs me. Okay. So if you set this kind of goal, other than very, very lofty statements, I think it will help you in terms of consolidating what you need to be doing in a limited amount of capital, in a limited amount of manpower, and with, limited technology spends. Finally, on the claims piece, because of the fact that we use large data models, and I would say that we are still nascent when it comes to the use of AI. I prefer as a professional to follow rather than lead in this area, because we'd like to see what other people are doing. We'd like to see, the outcomes of what they've implemented, because bigger players have lots of money and, they can afford to spend. We are obviously, very conservative on that. But the way I see it is that the margin for error reduces significantly with use of data models and AI. It also improves the processing efficiency of the manufacturer to a point where there is no unnecessary effort or spend in the long term. So I'd leave it at that. We'd obviously take this discussion forward.
Thanks, Kaizad. Thanks, Doctor, on adding quite a bit of framework and background on what's happening in the industry. I generally take any public forum to introduce what we do in the industry. We are an insurance repository, and our basic role is to represent the customer in this ecosystem. We today serve about 1 crore of policyholders on our platform. That's what we do. And it's an interesting vantage point to sit to see actually what the insurance industry is trying to do. And we believe that we are one of the, I would not say the catalyst, but at least we are one of the contributors to moving the industry to a digital way of doing things. And whenever I hear any public forum discussion, I become very conscious about one important thing, that what is transformation is important to understand. My definition of transformation is that from the state that you are in today to the future state that you're going to go, your fundamental capabilities have to change. Then you have transformed. If your fundamental capabilities have not changed, then there is no transformation. There is incremental gain which is happening. And there cannot be any more opportune moment for insurance industry to transform. Because we know this fundamentally, that we have now completed about 25 years, a quarter of a century, when insurance industry got opened up. And as an industry, it's something worthwhile to look at, that in these 25 years, we haven't really moved the inch or a needle on penetration and coverage. So something fundamentally has not worked. We have been able to expand distribution. There was almost a non-existent bank assurance channel, which today exists and is actually a dominant channel in terms of distribution. Agency continues to be there as at the same capacity, I would say. Our reach has multiplied. We today have insurtechs also trying to sell, yet the penetration has not moved up. Customers' fundamental acceptance of insurance as a product and the benefit, the value it delivers, is still not established as a real tangible benefit in their mind, and that is why they hesitate in accepting this product. With this background, it becomes very pertinent to ask the question, which ability is missing, and therefore what transformation is required. And yes, technology or digital is one of the resources which is really going to help us do that, because what we were not able to do in the last 25 years, many of those things are possible to do as we go forward in there. Yes, I agree with when Kaizad says, and it's actually globally, it's the same standard. Insurance has always been a follower in technology simply because the product life cycles are very long. Particularly in life insurance or pensions, you will see that it's a 20-year life cycle. So changing systems is not that easy. And hence, generally, this is a sector of BFSI which follows the technology's trend rather than leading that particular thing. What we see today, when we look at it from a customer's point of view, there are largely two challenges that the industry needs to start working upon. I think one, already doctor spoke about it, that there is a huge confusion in terms of how we service the customer. And I think that's a big challenge. While the processes and the requirements are essentially the same, but I think the way the servicing happens is quite complicated and it's not simplified for the customer. I think there is a second part which is really staring us as a challenge, that is the industry able to deliver the benefits that are promised in the product. I think one of the corrections that we need to make as an industry is that while the intent to do things is right, but we are perceived very badly. Customers don't see us that we really want to do the right thing, and that itself is a barrier for us. So I think there is a bit of PR, but actually fundamentally you have to look at it, how are you delivering those benefits? The third area, which to my mind or understanding when we speak to the customers or even the rest of the stakeholders, now actually technology enables insurers, manufacturers to design fundamentally new products, which were probably not possible earlier. And this technology today can enable that. And if we are able to address that piece, that is something which possibly can bring the next, I always say the next 10 crore customers will come from not the products that we have today, but from the new products that we can design. Yesterday I was with a very large insurance broker out of Delhi, and we were talking about it. And the way they are thinking about developing new products, I think that can only be thought about if you use technology to deliver that. It is a fundamental capability that manufacturers now lead to, or underwriters, risk underwriters actually have to think about in doing that. So if I was to summarize to start this conversation, I think what has worked in the last 25 years, I would not say is incorrect, but I think it has been insufficient. So we need to look at new things. I think the second important thing is the customer needs new products to understand and appreciate the value of insurance. And I think the third important thing is we've got to use technology to make sure that the delivery becomes easy to the customer. That's when we can fundamentally look at transforming, this industry as such. So I think that's where I will start the conversation. I'll hand it over back to you.
I think thanks. That was really insightful. Few things I will just like to add just to have the impact of technology on insurance. This is my personal belief that either an insurer who's called as manufacturer by them, which is of course the right thing, or an intermediary, mainly the broker who's able to invest a lot, if they miss one wave of technology, they are behind by 5 years. And let me assure you, if they miss the second wave, they have to shut their shop. So, technology is inevitable. And I would only say the only alternative solution to technology is again technology. So do not miss this wave, because if you are not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it. The operational risk in insurance is extremely high. And I'll tell you the ineffective use of technology, and with some few live examples. We all know there was a 9/11, which has happened in US. And there was an insurer who was getting reinsured, who was further reinsured, and the chain was continuing. And it had a domino effect. The last insurer who was actually on the reinsurance side also had a direct channel which has insured the client and also reinsured the client. But both the departments are not talking to each other. There was accumulation of the risk. And finally what happened was the entire chain collapsed. So many insurers had to shut their shop. This is the meaning of technology I'm talking about. In insurance language, I don't know how much you all are aware of, we call it accumulation of risk. This was not realized by them at that time, and many insurance companies had to shut their shop. So what I'm also trying to say, and also made a statement about the problem which we need to find out and then develop a solution. Otherwise, just make a solution and then find for a problem. And we've seen that in many cases. And that's where, I was with one of the largest HMOs of US, market cap being more than $110 billion and so on. And they just mentioned about the overuse of technology and the wastage of technology. And I asked him, what does that mean? And this is a conversation of 2016 or so. They had some couple of billions of dollars for next 7 years planned for capex for technology. And from those couple of billions of dollars, they had few millions of dollars budgeted for a waste. Many a times, we as CEOs, we need numbers and blah, 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 all those things. But technology wastage is also inevitable. So just budget this in mind, that there will be some excess 10-20% you'll be spending, but that's fine. That budget it in your cost and make those solutions, because there are no ready-made solutions available in insurance. And that's the reason I was talking about the aggregation platform. For an example, my friend on this side will have a superb technology. The other insurer on the life side may have a slightly different. Every insurer is at the different stages of technology in terms of maturity. So when a broker is trying to sell an aggregated platform, he will have to match with each of these maturities. And now when there is a claim, and he mentioned about, the claim has to be serviced in a positive manner. Those services are also very different from insurer to insurer. There are no standardized approaches. So the front-end system, which is going to be standardizing the services, also has to remain very robust. And that's how, if you see the customers here in insurance, they feel they are the most pained. And, there is a big hue and cry which we keep on hearing about claims not getting settled. And I'll give you some data. Again, I'll speak about only data. The combined ratio of insurance is more than 100, maybe 110, 112 types. If they're not paying claims, how will the combined ratio be 110? That means they are paying claims. So, but just 5% of the population whose claims are being questioned or not being paid, and actually that has been magnified. We spoke about the penetration here, and again, the data I'll just speak about. Penetration in India has been robust across global penetration across the matured industries or matured countries, the first world country they call it as, or the developed economies, is nearly around 9%, 4.5% contributed by life and 4.5% contributed by non-life. I'm talking about the averages. Best case scenario may be around 16, 17%, and worst case can be anything in decimals. Here in India, when we talk of penetration, we have not spoken about the sum insured. And my friends would agree on the other side. 15 years back, when we used to buy a life insurance, the premium paid per 1,000 rupees was X. Today, that premium has softened so much that we don't see that penetration effect. But if you go to see the number of lives have increased, the sum insured has increased, reinsurance purchase has increased, risk on the insurance balance sheet has increased. However, penetration will show a smaller number. So this is my personal belief, purely personal. Again, I'm saying penetration is higher. We all need to be happy that we are doing, the regulator has done a phenomenal job. The government has done a phenomenal job. It on a higher scale. Premiums have softened. That is why, actually there is and sum insured has increased. So this is when we consider industry has done pretty well. Industry will require technology. Without that, it can't survive. So I think the next wave in insurance is going to be the insurance technology. It's already there. It's already prevailing. It will continue to prevail for the next 5 decades at least. So I think, and if there is anything which can be scalable, it has to be through technology. Else, there is no possibility of any scale. So I think I've said enough and would request my friends and colleagues to.
Thanks, Doc. Once again, very insightful. We've got about 3 minutes, so I'm going to keep this very short and sweet now. Look, if you were to ask me from a manufacturer's perspective, there are 2 or 3 key stakeholders. One is, of course, the distributor, because whether we like it or not, we've been talking about, online insurance and digital insurance till the cows come home. It's not really moved a lot in the last 10, 12 years. And rightfully so, because insurance is a long-term contract. It is kind of opaque. There are, hidden benefits that need to be explained by a human being. And, typically Indians being Indians, we have a trust deficit. So we still need to catch somebody's throat if something goes wrong. Okay. That being said, the second stakeholder is, of course, the insured himself. So the distributor is the first guy. Second is the insured himself, the customer who's buying the product. And what are we doing for him? And finally is the regulator. And believe you me, the regulator is your friend and your mentor and your greatest challenger in the ecosystem as of today. Because obviously, I completely agree that for the industry to grow and move forward, I think the amount of proactive and, pragmatic regulation that has happened in the last, decade or so, right from the product to the, expenses of management, to, the policyholder protection has gone up manifold. So, if you were to ask me, these 3 stakeholders need to be serviced with technology, and technology is the only thing which will allow insurers today to scale, supported by, very good quality data. And I cannot emphasize the need for the cleanliness of the data and the storage of the data and the use of the data. And, one thing that Dr. Singh actually said, he talked about the DPDP Act. While today, it seems to be, this vague amorphous thing that's in the air, the day it gets implemented and actually, enforced is the day that a lot of insurers are going to, really have to think about their business models. Because all said and done, see, I would tend to agree that Indians are a bit cavalier when it comes to, exposing their own data. It's interesting that it's interesting for you to know that the nationality which is most cavalier about the data online, take a guess. Who do you think it would be? It's Saudi Arabia. Okay. So the second being India and the third being Pakistan. So the real need to protect data and to be have it sanctified really doesn't exist in our minds as a population. So now imagine somebody saying that your data can't be used and you have to consent to your data being used. Now imagine the number of service providers you're going to be working with and providing consent to. So that's going to become a full-time job for the Indian consumer in the next, couple of months when this gets implemented. And of course, the cost of compliance, the need for compliance, the need for, encryption, data sharing, a lot of business models. Imagine what your third-party outsourcing outfits are going to face. Okay, because the enforcement of the DPDP Act is a 250 crore fine. Most companies will go under. Okay, and that's what the Act states. So, I mean, we have no clue of what's going to happen in the next 1 year. But there are some positives as well. I mean, look at something like Bima Sugam, which the regulator is driving very aggressively. That is going to be the real aggregator. People like Vivek and, his ilk are actually, thick in the middle of Bima Sugam in terms of aggregating insurers' products, services, claims, and managing the life cycle. So, the need for the aggregator is going to become that much more as time goes by. Again, it is going to challenge some models of people who are, selling insurance supposedly online. Okay. So, lots of changes for the customer. Again, it is not unheard of that customers' policies today gets issued in a matter of minutes. You don't have to wait, for some underwriter decision which the agent tells you is pending for weeks on end. Okay. Similarly, claims are being settled in a matter of hours today, even in life insurance. So, for example, in our case, about 30% of our claims get settled in 24 hours. So, which is quite a transformation. And with more data coming in, with more profiling coming in, with more aggregation, with more integration with public databases, it's only going to get better because you'll be able to know your customer that much better. Okay. So, I think there are good times which are around the corner. Technology is definitely going to be leading. It's a force multiplier. But the data that supports it, which allows manufacturers to take intelligent decisions, is going to be the revolution that is about to come.
Yes, I think we're just up on time. I'll just add one thing. I think there are so many changes which are going to happen. The regulator has been proactive in doing it. One of the things that I see as a differentiator between rest of the financial services and insurances, this industry has not collaborated to create industry infrastructure of doing things. Whether you look at banking or you look at asset management, capital markets, they have been able to create industry infrastructure, whether it is stock markets to call it, RTAs to call it, or clearing corporation or a SWIFT network or any of those things. These are industry infrastructure that has been created, which simplifies the life and the efficiency of every player in the market. Insurance industry has not really collaborated in that area. If that collaboration, and I think regulator is pushing all of us in saying, whether it is Bima Sugam or anything, just collaborate and create that public industry infrastructure, because the benefit of this syndication and standardization will flow to each and every one in the industry and to the customer. I think that's one area where technology allows us to do that, and then the benefit is for everyone to, take from that. Yes. I'll just close at that.